Lots of very pertinent and important astrological happenings today. We have the solar eclipse that is going on. We have the new moon and as well as the Chinese New Year. And we are entering into the year of the fire horse, moving out of the wood snake from the previous year. So all of these things are very much so lining up at this time, and this is giving you a window to really capitalize on whatever it is that you're trying to actualize in this instance. Now, those of you that are aware of the Regal timeline theory, the Regal change old timers, you are fully aware that what I'm referring to when I talk about manifestation is the probabilistic actualization of something going on. And those of you that understand my view of astrology, it is more of a symbolic message from society and from the observation of the light happenings in themselves. So the way that I look at astrology is that it's not necessarily magic, it's your observation of it that makes meaning within it. And that's where the real magic, quote unquote, lies. So what does this do? Because there's going to be a lot of grifters that are going to come in and try to take advantage of the solar eclipse and everything like that when it comes to all of the information. They're going to try to tell you certain things that you have to do or that you have to let go of. Think of it like this. These types of astrological events are the same type of events for the Christian rapture calendar date setters, right? They're like, oh, it's going to happen on this date at this time. I think anybody that is prophesizing with exact dates is not really understanding what they're talking about or referring to. And so a lot of these astrological people that are saying, oh, well, if you do this by today because, well, you have to because of the solar eclipse, then you're going to get this done by March or by 2028 or whatever the case is, right? They're not really looking at the significance of just being present and observing what exactly is happening just for the sake of observing. And because the solar eclipse is really a sign of something renewal and some kind of symbol of renewal and a rebirth to some degree as well. And I don't think that a lot of people are going to be ready for the kinds of things that I have to say about this kind of topic. But the thing that I want to make most prevalent in this video is that should you persist in being aware of the happenings of the stars and the heavens, the more you might be inclined to see just how beautiful and magical your awareness in of itself really is. And it's not the type of magic as in something that is, because it's all symbolic to some degree. It's a parable. The way that I see this entire reality is that it's a parable unto itself. And so if you can see the parable within the parables and the series of parables, then you're going to be able to determine how you know something. But the thing is that the more I understand God and the more I understand myself, the more I know that I don't know crap, diddly crap. I don't know anything. And I was thinking about this last night, where I was thinking about what Socrates says when he says, I'm the wisest because I know nothing. And he's saying so many different things on multiple levels saying that. He is saying, I'm the wisest because I know nothing, like he knows nothing. And he's also saying that he's the wisest because he doesn't know anything. He doesn't have anything really. It's all just an experience. And that's what makes him wise, is that he understands that this life is an experience, and what you have to experience is going to be best regarded as the form of value that is necessary to really shift your perspective of life. And what really comes of this is we have to think about the symbols and the parables as they are. So think about the wood snake, right? Okay, well, the wooden snake for the last year, what exactly has happened that resembles or has a symbol or a symbolic significance of a wooden snake? Well, there's many different things that have happened, and there are many things that are coming into fruition. Well, now we have the wood to make the fire. Well, what's this year, 2026? Well, there's going to be the fire horse. So now the horse, which is more of a symbol, because the serpent, the snake, is more a symbol of wisdom or cunningness rather than most evil. Like, people think of the snake as evil. It's not really actually evil. It's considered to be a symbol of wisdom, really, from the ancient times. But a horse, however, there's something more steadfast about this. There's something more powerful and elegant about it. If you think about a horse or a stallion, the Greeks considered horses to be one of the most beautiful creatures of all time, because in Greek mythology, the horses were made by Poseidon. And Poseidon is the god of the ocean, right? And god of the waters and such. And so Poseidon made the horses as a gift to mankind within the mythologies, of course. And well, what's the significance of that? Why is it the case that Poseidon, the god of water, essentially, will give man this beautiful, elegant creature like a horse as a gift? Think about these symbols and such and what they really mean, and think about the power behind them and why they are the way that they are, because most people are not going to pay attention to this kind of stuff. Most people are not going to even ask the questions into this kind of thing. Most people are too surface level to truly understand. But the thing is I don't even want to care about most people anymore. I don't need to know about what most people are doing or what most people are talking about. I know that that's a problem. And everybody else knows that that's the problem. We all know that most people are retards. There's no need to dispute that. But what we need to focus on is not the retards. What we need to focus on is what we're actually trying to do and what we're actually trying to implement, and focus on what we're actually trying to build and let go of in order to build what we need to. So with that being said, be careful out there with some of these. I know some people on here are fervent. Like, my channel attracts a lot of different types of people. And what I've noticed is that it's definitely a melting pot of sorts. And the niche, though, the overall niche is just knowing who you are and being grounded in awareness. That's really the overall sense of understanding that most people get from this channel of mine and this account. And so I want to encourage that, but I also want to encourage that there's many more possibilities beyond this. Of course, we need to understand relationships. We need to understand the vitality of why relationships aren't working out today and what we can do about it. We need to understand the heavenliness of life. We also need to understand the hellishness of life. There are so many different ways in which we can go about this as well. We need to be aware of certain things, but we also need to be focused on what we're actually doing and just living in our world. Because although, and I don't mean that to say like you should live in the world or worldliness, it's that there is something happening right now that is offering you the opportunity. If you choose to follow that path, there's a window of opportunity that is not for opportunists to have. It's a window of opportunity to reveal unto yourself that mirror of self-reflection. Because, well, what does it mean to self-reflect? Well, you're looking at yourself in the mirror. Okay, you recognizing that this whole existence is a parable unto itself is you engaging in self-reflection. And so what we have to remember and what we have to recognize is, and I've said this a few times before on my channel and in my sessions that I've had with people, etc., is that what we need to recognize is that the universe and the multiverse is not happening outside of you. It's happening inside your mind. And your greatest fight and your greatest endeavor in fighting is going to be due to you engaging with your own inner conflicts without being enemies to those conflicts. Because you can have enemies outside of you, but I think if you have an enemy within inside you, then you have not yet transcended the dualistic quality of life. Once you recognize the devil and God exist just as much in you as anything else outside of you, that is only going to be when you start to see and maneuver in the world a certain different kind of way that is actually going to make you set apart and different. And it's not going to be, oh, I'm so special, I'm so different, I'm so chosen. I don't even like to call myself a chosen one anymore. I don't even like to call myself that because there's too much vanity. Like, I know what I'm referring to when I talk about it, but there's too much vanity behind the term, and people have made it into a platitude. It's almost as if I have to rephrase nearly everything that I talk about simply because there's no oomph, there's no fire behind it. And now we're entering the year of the fire horse, so we have to create this new type of momentum. And remember that what was laid before in the last year, symbolically speaking, what was laid down before is now your wood to start your fire. And if you haven't been gathering wood, if you haven't been chopping wood, so to speak, then going into this year of the fire horse, it's going to be very difficult for you to even generate momentum. So take what you can and learn from these types of symbols, because our world, whether you believe it or not, your subconscious mind is going to be impacted by the symbols and the symbolism behind these things. And it's going to be up to you to decide what kind of person you really want to be based off of understanding the awareness of the symbols, because symbols really do play a bigger part in our lives and our subconscious mind, more so than we would like to admit. And you know, what I've come to conclude is that most people just are too cooked to really even care anyway. So I was asked a question yesterday. Somebody said, well, why are you betting on yourself exactly? Like, what makes you so confident to bet on yourself? And I said, well, who else is left? And I was genuinely asking, man. And this guy was like, he loved it. He loved what I had to say. And he was like, oh, that's so awesome. And I'm like, no, I'm seriously asking. I'm seriously asking. Like, who else is there left to bet on? When you get to a point in life where you have to curate your own reality to some degree in order to operate within the system without falling into the system and being a slave to it, you kind of just have to curate your own reality. You have to curate your own, it's not even your own truth. You just have to see the truth and live inside the truth while curating your own reality, because that which is real is not always truthful, but that which is truthful is always going to be real. So curate your own reality and live in the truth. But don't get so blinded by the happenings of the world that you slip into the symbols or you slip into the machine. It's a fine godlike mastery mindset balance, and that's what I teach and that's what I encourage. And it's to say that there's going to be, like, something I've noticed with people is that they like educators. They really like educators. But it's almost like sometimes it's almost as if, as a free thinker, people are asking me if they can freely think for themselves. I'm like, why the fuck are you asking me, man? Why are you asking me to think for yourself? And I'm trying to wake them up. I'm not trying to discourage them. I'm not trying to shame them. I'm just saying, why are you asking me? If you want to be a free thinker, stop asking for permission. If you want to be a free thinker, if you want to be involved with things that are beyond the realm of whatever this is, it's time to start looking inward. It's time to, and it's always time to start looking inward, but really, when you are getting off of the timeline of asking permission to think for yourself, because you've got to look at your roots there, buddy, because if you're asking permission to think, you're already idolizing something. You're already idolizing something. And that's just the fact of the matter. It's better to act and accept the consequences. And I'm sure you've heard the platitude, it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission. Well, yeah, because you're going to do something because you want to do it. It's not because you feel like you have to ask permission for it. You're going to do something because you want to do it. So do it and live with the consequences and hold your nutsack and move forward nonetheless. Sign up for a one-on-one session with me or check out my Godlike Mastery program that I have. I hope everybody stays blessed. Peace. Until next time.